New York City, street life, growing up in the projects, poverty, single parent home, gangs, street life. That was a lot of my life. Where I'm from, you either slinging rock or you got a mean jump shot. And so you're selling drugs, you're a rapper, or you're playing in the NBA. And obviously I'm not playing in the NBA. You know what, at first I chose the gang life. I loved music my whole life. I would listen to different kinds of instrumentals and try to mimic my favorite rappers. And I bought a rhyming dictionary and began to look at different words and how they link to other words and how they rhyme. At first, it was just a good hobby for me. It was something that made me popular, and so I pursued that. The problem with hip-hop music nowadays is if you're pursuing secular hip-hop, you're also pursuing the lifestyle that goes with that, and that's not the most positive lifestyle. When I was 16 years old, one of the ways the youth pastor at a church I was attending decided to do outreach to me was through Christian hip-hop music, and so he drew me in that way. And so through God's hand in my life, I found myself leaving New York City, going to a Bible college, and from there, I moved around the country a lot until I found myself in Fort Wayne, Indiana. So once I got to Fort Wayne, Indiana, I got hired here at Fellowship as a janitor, and God began to do some things in my life through discipleship and my relationship with Keith Reynolds and other staff members here at the time. And the passion to make music again was rebirthed in me. It seemed like it was something that I can give back, something that God had a calling on my life to do. I've reached so many people in the past through music. I wanted to do it for the glory of God this time. My audience at first was young people. As I began to sharpen my skill and understand more about the gospel and what God's calling me to do, it broadened my capacity to minister to more people. I had been working with a few artists here in town. They had asked me to manage them, and the idea of doing music as a career became more of a reality. And so through some prayer, I felt God say to me that I should build a studio. And so my wife and I discussed it, and we made plans to go ahead and build a studio in our home. We put out a few albums, and we were successful as a new record label coming up. The record label was Anointed Entertainment, and we just did some awesome things here in the city, performed at different places, different schools, different churches, and so we were up and coming. So the idea of fame and being popular when I became a Christian, it really scared me for the most part. And so after every show, I would run backstage and hide there, and I would never let people see me after a show, just because I was scared to get a big head and I didn't want that to be who I was. Throughout that whole journey of music, I felt God tugging my heart in a different way. Instead of managing artists, I began to pastor artists, and they saw that distinction. One of my artists would always tell me, Izzy, you need to be a pastor rather than a manager, because instead of worrying about are they crafting their skill, I was worrying about are they crafting their character. It was Race for Peace weekend about two or 3 years ago, and we had just finished getting off stage, and I remember that I just felt uncomfortable. Like, we performed, it was great, we were selling out CDs, that was great, everything was just going smoothly, but there was like a discomfort in me, like this didn't settle right with me. I remember I was walking to my car with one of the artists I was managing, JT, and he looked at me and he said to me, Izzy, I think you're done. I said, what do you mean you think I'm done? Like, this is just the beginning. Like, we're so successful right now. And he looked at me, he said, I feel like God's calling you to do something else. You're not supposed to be doing music anymore. And in my mind, I'm like building this mini empire where we're gonna explode, and this is gonna be the new thing, this is gonna be my life. And here he is telling me what he feels God's saying to him. And I remember being so upset, but it resonated as well, and it was so uncomfortable. And praying about it, talking to my wife about it, talking to my mentor and other people that I trust, I really felt God saying to me, tear down the studio, tear down all the money, all the hard work you put into building the studio, tear it all down. And I remember taking down my microphone and taking down the soundproof walls and like being in tears, tearing this studio down in my house and packing things up and rolling up chords and just like really upset about it and angry at God. Like, why are you doing this to me? Or why are you letting this happen? Like, this is for your glory, God. Why are you having me put this on the altar? Why am I sacrificing this? I don't want to. This is for your glory. Why would you make me do this? But I didn't have eyes to see what he had for me later. I've never pursued being a pastor, really. I pursued God, and I was obedient to God. And so I believe that in our obedience to God, he's able to bless us with different things. And in my obedience to lay down music at the altar, God was able to bless me with other things. That doesn't mean that the desire to write music or to be in the studio has left, but I'm being obedient to God right now, saying, God, this belongs to you and it's yours. I'm blessed to be part of this community. I'm blessed to be in the position that I'm in. I love what I'm doing. I love the young people that I'm pastoring. They're great. And so I love what I'm doing.